Hey, what's going on, everyone? Back with some knife content. Today I am very excited in that it is the moment everyone's been waiting for, or maybe I'm the only one that's been waiting for it. But today I'm going to be comparing the Ferrum Forge Mordax circa 2017 with the ProTech Mordax circa 2022. I've had this ProTech for a while, did a review of it, super impressed with it. Everybody is, though, that's not saying much. This Ferrum Forge Mordax was a little bit harder to get a hold of, but I actually ended up finding one. One of my buddies in the Facebook group that I belong to tagged me in it because I was in search of one to make this video, actually. And, I loved this knife so much, wanted to see what the original one was like, and I ended up getting it, and I'm a little bit. I don't know if I'm super surprised with the results or like what my observations were with it, but happy to share them with you, and appreciate you all tuning in. All right, before we get into my very critical comparison of these two knives, I'll do a few quick comparisons for everyone that has never seen a Mordax in person. So the Mordax, as compared to a Chris Reeve large Sabenza 31, looks like that. And I'll pick one more. What do I want to do? We'll grab just to add a little contrast here, Demco 8020S, Ferrum Forge Mordax, ProTech Mordax. Looks like that. So we're going to go, we'll go through a few of the similarities or differences. A lot of the similarities are just cosmetic and kind of just in knife design, which I'm a huge fan of the Mordax as, a blade design and what the whole form looks like. But there's definitely quite a few changes that, ProTech made in 2022 that this version did not have way back when. So appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll jump right into it. All right, so quickly kind of blasting through this comparison, or more like contrasting these two. So the most obvious thing is going to be this is a button lock, and this is going to be a frame lock on the quote-unquote full send version. It should be noted too, because the largest difference between these two is going to be the weight and the price. This one comes in at 3.84 ounces. The original full titanium comes in at 5.38 ounces. And it isn't just the titanium and the aluminum that makes up the difference. This knife, the blade stock is actually substantially thicker. And I got a few pictures. I'm not sure where I'll work them into the video, but you can see that, this one all around is just a way beefier knife. And while I kind of have these knives at this angle, we can just ignore the button lock here, but the Ferrum Forge Mordax as a frame lock, it's very impressive, these cuts that they made to make this frame lock happen. These are very precise, cuts they made, really good machining here. And I think that's really cool. It shows an awesome, attention to detail. You can see kind of the pilot screw holes or pilot holes here and here where they got the blade in there to cut it. The workmanship and craftsmanship that are kind of all over this knife are very impressive for sure. I thought it was kind of interesting though. So this pocket clip, it rests solely on this frame lock right here. So if you go to work the frame lock, you're actually pushing the pocket clip up on it. And most of the knives that I see, the pocket clip is over on the frame side so that it, doesn't get in the way. But, you're not only going against the tension of this titanium, well, it's all titanium, but not only this frame lock, but also this pocket clip, you're pushing against it. And I don't know, that was kind of weird to me. The next one, kind of the next observation that I had here. I thought that it was cool, and since we're sticking with the Ferrum Forge here, I'll try to get a picture, but they actually did the lock bar cutout so that you can actually flex this piece of titanium. They did it all internally to the knife. So most knives, and let's see what I have out here that, oh boy. Sure. All right, so this Something Obscene left, for instance. So typically knives will kind of carve out that area for the frame lock on the outside where you can see, but they actually did that on this knife. the Ferrum Forge version all internally here. So you don't see that. It doesn't take away from the clip side of this knife, which normally in my experience, companies really don't care what the clip side looks like. They're all about the show side, and the machining on this knife is just phenomenal. All right, the next observation that I had with comparing these two was just the pivot. And all around, I mean, all the hardware on the Ferrum Forge version is going to be a beefier, although it might not be a larger diameter Torx, it's definitely a larger Torx bit head. And kind of the frustrating thing that I saw here, and both of these knives are guilty of doing this, but I don't know why, for whatever reason, again, as someone who likes to take apart, maintain, clean their knives, I hate having just one workable side. This pivot is closed, this pivot is closed, but this side it's open. They definitely got pretty fancy with the machining there. On that side of that, it's just a Torx bit though, but when you flip these over, like, I don't know, it kind of like, I think of like a Shuragorov, which like the pivot on the one side, although it's not keyed on the clip side, they at least make it big enough for you to apply pressure to get friction to be able to work the pivot. This one is bad. This one is absolutely worse. Like, I mean, I'm afraid that if you ever put Loctite on this, you're not going to get this up. Like, it's actually elevated a little bit. I don't know what I would use to apply tension or friction to that side to be able to work this to get it open. I think this is one of those knives you could really never use Loctite on, and for the life of me, I don't know why they didn't key this one. I don't know why they keyed and bumped up this one. Talking about the clip side still here, one of my other frustrations here is gonna be, so this detent, they actually keyed the detent, so it sticks up. I guess, like, presumably you can adjust the tension on it, whatever, like the tension feels pretty good to me, whatever, but that detent, this Torx head here sticks up, and it's just a set screw. It is sharp as hell, and I mean, it scratches, like, I mean, I'm scratching my finger with it, whatever, like, that's just a bad design. Like, just set the detent. Like, I mean, I don't need that many controls on a knife. And obviously this one, being a button lock, you don't have those same controls. Man, this action is really nice, actually. Hold on, I just need to enjoy that for a second. Okay, but yeah, I don't really know what they were thinking with that. I mean, I have not seen an adjustable detent to the tune of, like, it's almost like this thing's a prototype and they wanted to, like, figure out what to tension it to, and then they were gonna set it and forget it. So we're gonna focus on this side now. But yeah, I don't know, a lot of differences between these knives. All right, the next difference that I saw between these knives was going to be the flipper tab. On the ProTech Mordax, you're going to get this jimping right here, which it should be noted that there's no other jimping on this knife at all. There is zero jimping on the Ferrum Forge version, but it's interesting to me that they, put a few pieces of, or whatever, like they did a little jimping on that flipper tab so you could hit it where it really doesn't need it, and that's only, further punctuated by the fact that you definitely don't need it on this knife. So it's a little bit curious to me why they chose to put jimping on the ProTech version. I really don't know. The next difference that I saw was, and one of the things that's really impressive about the Ferrum Forge version is going to be this kind of contrasting stonewash satin finish on the blade. Like, this is a beautifully done blade, and it's actually going to be beveled on the top, where this one is just flat, but we'll actually see here in a little bit. I like the the flat bevel on that one. This one's going to be just solid stonewash, but on the Ferrum Forge version, again, realizing it costs almost $200 more, you're gonna get that contrast, realizing this is a user. I don't know if some dude was cutting cables with this or what, but pretend there aren't all these scratches all over this thing, and they did a great job with the blade finish on the Ferrum Forge version. The next observation that I had was, so the Ferrum Forge version is quite a bit thicker of blade stock, which makes it just a thicker knife. I'll try to post a picture of, the differences between these two, but, that's kind of where it ends. Like, it's thicker blade, thicker handles to fit the blade. The ProTech version actually has a much larger blade stop in there, and I think that that's interesting just because this is such like a heavier knife. They went with a smaller blade stop than they did with the lighter, kind of more wieldy ProTech version, and I don't know why, but that's one of the changes that ProTech made. And that concludes my comparison and contrasting of these two Mordaxes. All in all, I hate to say it, but I really do enjoy both of these versions, but for different reasons. There's certainly something timeless about the Mordax blade shape and just the overall ratios. Like I love the 3.5-inch blade, the weight, especially of this one, although this one's not so bad, I guess, given what it is. Every time I pick this up, I have to remind myself that, hey, idiot, these are full titanium scales. Cool. I don't know. Like I can tell after reviewing these that the Ferrum Forge version is from kind of a smaller shop, whereas the ProTech, it kind of reminds me more of like a big box store offering of the same knife. Like it may be better actually, and the fit and finish may be better or whatever, but I just have to imagine that for Ferrum Forge, when they made this, they were, it's just a smaller operation all around, and credit where credit is due. Like they put together a great blade. There's just never going to be any getting over the weight difference between these two. The full titanium version, it's seriously a heavyweight. You just have to remember that these knives are 6 years apart. The tweaks that ProTech made, they definitely make sense in this day and age, and it really does keep the Mordax as a namesake relevant, which is, I think, important. I mean, if Ferrum Forge kept just putting out this same Mordax, I don't think anyone would buy it, but the fact that they kind of, tweaked it, made it a little bit more sleek, used some, more premium steels, this one being in MagnaCut, there's a reason that you really can't get your hands on the ProTech version, or if you do, they go quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm not going to say that the OG is bad or sloppy or anything like that. I really do just think that ProTech evolved it, and I kind of feel really lucky to have both. And if you had to ask me, which one of these two would I keep, the full send Ferrum Forge, the OG, or this kind of ProTech imposter, or their version of the ProTech Mordax, it depends on what I'm doing. I mean, if I had to pick my only knife, right? So if you're like, hey, you can have one of these, that's the only knife you can use, I'm going to go with the ProTech version. I think all around the tweaks that have been made to it, the lightweight nature, I don't mind that it has aluminum handles on it, great MagnaCut steel. It's super fidgety. This is one of the most fidgety knives I own. But if you told me that, hey, like you can keep one of these and like you are going to collect knives or have more than one, whatever, I have to go with the original Ferrum Forge. I think that it's really cool, and I'm kind of like a history nerd, or I like to see like evolution, whatever. It is so cool to see how this one evolved into this one, and it's just a different interpretation, like different strokes for different folks, and I think they both have a place. But if I had to pick one, if I'm collecting knives, I'm going with the Ferrum Forge. If I was looking for one knife for my everyday carry, I'm going with the ProTech. So hopefully I didn't bow out too easily there. I did try to put some thought into it and kind of think about, hey, what do I actually think about these knives? And so, definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. If you have any questions, comments, whatever, throw them below, because I own both of these. I'd be happy to point you in the right direction. So with that, we'll see you next time.